Some of them interpreted it as the wind that takes the lives of the believers before the occurrence of the hour, while others interpreted Allah's command as the coming of the Mahdi. Jabir ibn Abdullah, may Allah be pleased with him, reported that the Messenger of Allah, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, said, "There will always be a group from my ummah fighting for the truth, victorious, until the day of judgment." Sahih Muslim. Jabir ibn Samura radiyallahu anhu reported that the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, "This religion will not cease to be established, with a group of Muslims fighting over it, until the day of resurrection." Sahih Muslim. We say, al-Ishaba linguistically means a group of people between 10 and 40 in number, or all the assemblies of men and horses with their riders, or a group that can provide for itself in one of its many affairs. Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqash radiyallahu anhu reported that the Messenger of Allah, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Al-Gharb will always be victorious over the truth, until the day of judgment." Sahih Muslim. Imam an-Nawawi said, Ali al-Madini said, "What is meant by al-Gharbi is the Arabs, and what is meant by Gharb is a large pot or bucket, because of their specialty with it." Others said, "What is meant by it is the western hemisphere of the earth." Muad said, "They are the people of Sham." In a hadith it says, "They are the people of Bayt el-Maqdis." It was also said, "They are the people of Sham and the region behind it." Al-Qadi said, "It is said that what is meant by al-Gharbi are those who have strength and fortitude, because the garb of anything is its sharp part." Muslim by Sire and Nawawi. Anas radiyallahu anhu reported that the Messenger of Allah, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, said, "In every generation of my ummah there are pioneers." Sahih al-Jami no. 4227. Global explanation. 1. This is one of the hadiths about the victorious group, Thaifa Manshura, that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, delivered as good news. It is even considered to be the greatest good news for this ummah, that has never lost any good throughout history, until the occurrence of the Day of Judgment. This is something that the previous ummahs never had, which were interfered with by many alterations and substitutions in their books and teachings, which then led to the deviation of their followers. 2. The scholars differed on what is meant by this Thaifa group. It was narrated from Imam al-Bukhari and others that they are people of knowledge or scholars. Ahmad ibn Hanbal said that they are scholars of hadith. Some of the hadiths indicate a broader meaning than these two opinions. In my opinion, Thaifa Manshura includes all those who believe in monotheism, who stand up to Allah's commands everywhere, whether they stand up with weapons, or just by speaking, or otherwise. Imam an-Nawawi said, "It is possible that this group may be scattered among the diverse believers, among whom there are brave men who fight in the battlefield. Some of them become scholars of jurisprudence, some become scholars of hadith, some are zuhid, enjoining good and forbidding evil, and some of them have other kinds of goodness. They do not have to be physically gathered together, rather they may be far apart in different parts of the earth." Shar Muslim. These beautiful words of Imam an-Nawawi include all those from among those who help this din and subdue the deceit of the disbelievers and hypocrites. 3. There is an additional narration of these hadiths narrated by Imam Ahmad, which states that the victorious group, Thaifa al-Manshura, will be in the house of al-Maqdis or guarding the house of al-Maqdis. This narration is da'if and is too forced to explain what will happen at the time of the Mahdi and Dajjal at the end of time, and cannot be understood in its generality, as stated by Ibn Hajar. Or perhaps the narration that accompanies Muslims' hadith about al-Gharb means Sham, the land that will always be a battleground between truth and falsehood until the Day of Judgment. It will be fought over ambitiously by the previous religions because of the existence of the house of al-Maqdis. It will be fought over ambitiously by the previous religions because of the presence of the house of al-Maqdis, and its invaders will never be able to eliminate the warriors of truth, who defend the din of Allah, despite the efforts of the inhabitants of the surrounding countries to neglect them. 4. The aforementioned hadiths indicate that the warriors of the truth will stand on the consequences of the message and its most majestic tower. They are a small group under the shadow of a much larger group, a group that is distracted by the world and its desires. Hence their situation is expressed in the hadith with the word ashaba. Ashaba generally means a small group of people no more than 40 in number. This does not mean that in the whole world, there is no one fighting for the truth, except this small group of Muslims. But it is possible that in every battlefield, there is always a small group of Muslims who defend the Din al-Islam. 5. What is meant by the victory of this small group over the people? Is the victory of this group over them, whether it is a victory in argument and explanation, or their success in subduing the armies of falsehood with weapons and rejecting their tricks, or weakening their power, so that they are unable to overpower the Muslims? There is also an opinion that what is meant by their victory is their fame among the people. The hand-in-hand of the Mujahdids, the reformers for this ummah throughout the ages. Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, reported that the Messenger of Allah, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Verily, Allah sends for this ummah at the end of every 100 years, someone who will renew its din for it." Al-Hakim 8582. Authenticated by Al-Bani in Sahih al-Jami, Hadith No. 1874. Explanation. This hadith shows that Islam is not devoid of people who renew its faith at the end of each century, whether we mean the end of a century or the beginning of the next. The wording of this hadith is general. Therefore, it is possible that the meaning is that most of the reformers Mujahdids live at the end of each century. This is part of the mercy of Allah, may He be glorified and exalted, towards the Muslim ummah, for He spread among them the spirit of zeal in every short period of time, when some of the apostolic teachings were erased from them. Whoever follows the history of this ummah will find evidence of the truth of this hadith. There has not been a single period of time that the Muslim ummah has passed through, except that there have been those who have kept alive in the hearts of the people the teachings of revelation. Abu Thayyib Abadi quotes the author of Majlis al-Abrar as saying, "The identity of the reformer is not known with certainty, except by a strong assumption, based on the judgment of his contemporaries among the scholars, by carefully observing his condition and benefiting from his knowledge. This is because the reformer of the din must be a scholar who knows the sciences of the din, both externally and internally, who is a guardian of the sunnah, and an opponent of innovation, and his knowledge must be of general benefit to the people of his time. This renewal only happens once every 100 years, because of the passing of the scholars of that era, the erasure of the sunnah, and the rise of many innovations. So at that time there was a need to renew the din. So Allah, may He be glorified and exalted, brings among His creation a replacement for the Salaf scholars, perhaps one person or several." On Al-Mabad 11,391. What is meant by renewal tajdid in this hadith is not alteration or replacement, but rather reviving the original meanings that the first generation of Muslims used to live by, reviving the sunnah, killing bid'ah and new practices that are rampant in various communities. Al-Alkami said, "The meaning of tajdid renewal is to revive what has been lost from the practice of the Quran and Sunnah, and the command to practice them consistently." On Al-Mabad 11,386. This caravan of reformers traveling through time culminates in the emergence of the greatest of reformers, Al-Mahdi, because the reforms of his time are carried out in the most perfect form, as well as the most similar to the situation during the period of the great Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him. The promise of the Rashida Caliphate. Hudhayfa radiyallahu anhu reported that the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Prophethood is among you for as long as Allah wills. Then Allah will remove it when He wills to remove it. Then there will be a caliphate based on the manhaj of prophethood for as long as Allah wills. Then he will remove it, if he wills to remove it. Next comes the reign of the biting kings. That era of kingship lasts as long as Allah wills. Then he removes it when he wills to remove it. Next comes the reign of the despotic. Then he removes it when he wills it. Then there will be another caliphate based on the prophetic manhaj. Ahmad, al-Kufiyin, Hadith No. 18436. There is no problem with Ahmad's isnad. Explanation. This hadith contains the condition of the turbulent state of Muslim politics throughout history. It starts with the prophetic government Nubuwah, which ended with the death of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. This was followed by the righteous caliphate, Khilafah Rashida, which ended during the year of reconciliation al-Jama'ah, when Al-Hazan, may Allah be pleased with him, stepped down from his position as caliph and handed over the leadership of the Muslims to Muawiyah, may Allah be pleased with him. This was followed by the era of the biting kings, which ended with the fall of the Uthmanid Caliphate, Walhu Alam. Muslims are currently under an authoritarian government that is not known when it will end. This hadith clearly implies that there will be nothing after this era of authoritarian rule, but a righteous caliphate based on the prophetic manhaj. This is a promise from Allah to the people of the last days. It is He who sent His messenger with guidance and the true religion, so that He may win it over all religions, even though the polytheists hate it. Shaf 61, 5. Allah is majestic. One of the manifestations of His majesty is the elevation of the position of His family and the weakening of His enemies and humiliation of them. This is also a form of His punishment of His enemies. The continuation of the manifestation of Allah's majesty in relation to His promise will occur at the end of time, in general, covering the whole world in total. This statement is confirmed by the words of the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him. Indeed, this affair will actually accomplish what the night and day accomplish. Allah will not leave any house, whether made of clay or animal hair, except that Allah will include it in this din Islam, either with the glory of the noble or with the humiliation of the lowly. The glory with which Allah glorifies Islam, and the humiliation with which Allah humiliates disbelief. Al-Musnad 4:128. Therefore, the promise of Allah, the clear evidence of the continuing battle, the improving reality as reported by the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. The rise and fall of these nations show that we are one of them, with the permission of Allah. The hour is not far away. The previous hadith contains the essence of the good news for this ummah, that the tyranny and injustice that occurred among them will not last forever, but will soon be replaced by goodness at the highest level, with the return of the Khilafah Rashida to renew this ummah. The hadith also encourages Muslims to make every effort to establish the caliphate of the Rashida on earth. Just as the first caliphate of the Rashida was the result of tremendous hard work and great sacrifice, so too will the second caliphate.